This country hides the most eerie abandoned cities on Earth. Forests where time stopped 40 years ago. Underground bunkers tens of kilometers long. Islands where the entire population vanished overnight. A city where robots have replaced people in shops and schools. And villages where the average age of residents has surpassed 90, with not a single child. All of this is the same Japan. And here's the question we'll be answering throughout this entire episode. Why is Japan the fastest disappearing nation on the planet? Not the poorest, not the weakest. It's disappearing, as if someone launched a countdown, turning skyscrapers into concrete graves and packing it all within one border. We will now journey through places you've never heard of in your life. We'll stand on the edge of an abandoned metropolis. We'll descend into concrete voids that nature has been reclaiming for decades. We'll climb into ghost towns where tables are still set in homes. And we'll understand why this technological empire has proven powerless against what has been erasing it from the world map over the last half-century of history. Let's go. Japan, the third largest economy in the world. Over 300,000 square kilometers of innovation. But it's not about technology. It's about the fact that on this land, the finale of an entire civilization is unfolding. And it's happening right now, simultaneously. Japan, the third largest economy in the world. Over 300,000 square kilometers of innovation. But it's not about technology. It's about the fact that on this land, the finale of an entire civilization is unfolding. And it's happening right now, simultaneously. While you're watching this video, somewhere in Akita Prefecture, the last school within a 100-mile radius is closing, and a few hours away, in Tokyo, people are being crammed into subway cars, and the air smells as if the entire planet's life is concentrated here. This is not an exaggeration, it's a demographic anomaly that exists thanks to three things: the Hida Mountains to the west, the ocean currents to the east, and a central fear that has paralyzed the nation between them. Let's take it step by step. Akigahara, translated from Japanese, means plain of blue trees. Even the name itself carries something ominous, as if nature itself refuses to let the living enter here. This is the dead forest in the central part of the country. About 10,000 square kilometers of absolute silence. No laughter, no voices, no future at all. Even in some districts of Osaka, houses have been boarded up for years. Scientists call such places social deserts, territories where life, in principle, cannot be renewed. In 2023, statistics recorded a historic low in the birth rate on the islands. This is an official record, the lowest point of reproduction ever measured in the entire history of observations. For comparison, at such rates, the country's population will decrease by a third in 50 years. You will literally see entire prefectures become uninhabited. But here's what's strange. On the edges of this living void stand IKEA. These are abandoned houses, giant monuments of wood and stone, which the government is trying to give away for free. Some have been empty for decades. These are not just old buildings. They are an architectural diagnosis. The Japanese government has officially acknowledged the existence of 10 million such houses, like cells in an organism that die off one by one while the heart still beats in Tokyo. But why can't they simply be occupied? The answer lies in laws that are not usually spoken aloud. Taxes, traditions, and superstitions. In Japan, a house where someone has died alone is considered stigmatized. Its price drops to zero, and the land around it turns into a dead zone that even real estate agents avoid. Now let's move north, to the island of Hokkaido. Here, the population density is falling faster than the temperature in winter. Imagine modern high-speed Shinkansen trains with past stations where only one person lives. Literally, in 2016, the whole world was captivated by the story of Kamishirataki Station, which was kept open for a single schoolgirl. This sounds like a beautiful legend, but in reality, it's a cry for help. As soon as she graduated, the station was erased from the map, and there are hundreds of such erasures across the country every year. But there's something more frightening than empty train stations. It's kotokushi, the concept of lonely death. In megacities, entire special services have been created whose sole job is to clean out the apartments of people, whose deaths are only discovered a month later by smell. This is the flip side of a technological paradise. We have created a world where a robot can bring you coffee, but there will be no one to hold your hand in your final moments. Why is the government hiding the scale of this problem? Because to admit it is to admit the collapse of the national idea. While bright advertisements are playing on screens in Shibuya, just around the corner stand blocks where the lights in the windows haven't been on since the last century. Japan is turning into a vast open-air museum. Beautiful, clean, high-tech, and utterly empty. But the most frightening things aren't happening in abandoned villages, but in the very heart of technological triumph. In the shadows of Shinjuku's skyscrapers hide cyber refugees. These are thousands of people with no address, no home, no future. They live in 2 by 2 meter internet cafe cubicles, year after year, decade after decade. This isn't just poverty, it's a voluntary disappearance from the system. While statistics cheerfully report low unemployment, an entire generation is literally dissolving in the neon light, becoming living ghosts. Why is the government silent about hikikomori? About 1 million young people who haven't left their rooms for years. Because it's a social heart attack. A country that built robots to replace workers has produced a generation that doesn't want to be them. This is a silent catastrophe, the scale of which cannot be grasped from tourist guidebooks. We see the bright lights, but we don't notice how entire blocks of windows are going dark behind them. Japan today is a laboratory of the future for all of humanity. What is happening here will await Europe, Korea, and China tomorrow. This isn't just a birth rate crisis, it's a systemic failure of the survival program. The country is transforming into a giant, perfectly clean museum, where the exhibits are still moving, but their time has run out. And here's the finale. On the outskirts of Nagasaki stands Hashima Island, once the most densely populated place on Earth. Now, a concrete skeleton in the middle of the ocean. These are not just ruins, they are a mirror. Japan looks into it every day, seeing its reflection 50 years from now. Empty corridors, abandoned playgrounds, and an absolute, ringing silence where life once teemed. We are used to thinking that civilizations perish from wars or catastrophes, but Japan proves they can simply quietly disappear, leaving behind perfectly washed streets and millions of empty houses. This is the truth hidden behind the impeccable facade of the land of the rising sun. The sun still rises, but soon there will be no one for it to warm. But there's another side to the coin, one that isn't written about in tourist guides. These are shelter cities, built deep underground in case of a global catastrophe. Officially, they are drainage systems for flood control. Colossal concrete halls the size of cathedrals, hidden beneath Tokyo. But insiders speak of something else. These artificial caverns are stocked with resources capable of sustaining the elite for decades, while the rest of the country slowly turns into a wasteland. This is a survival project for the system, not the nation. While villages die out, autonomous bunkers grow underground, where technology has reached a peak inaccessible to the average resident of Osaka or Kyoto. Why is the government investing billions in concrete voids instead of supporting young families? Because they have already made their decision. The Japan of the future is not millions of people, but an automated fortress. A country where robots maintain empty streets, and real life flickers only in closed enclaves. This is a scenario hidden behind the polite smiles of officials and endless reports of stability. We see the facade, but behind it lies a cold calculation for the post-human era. And here's the main question. What will remain of the culture? When the last native speaker closes the door of their home in Nara Prefecture, traditions are turning into algorithms. Tea ceremonies are performed by androids. The samurai spirit is digitized and sold as an attraction. Japan is humanity's first example of a post-human civilization voluntarily exiting the stage, leaving behind impeccable order and a dead silence. We are accustomed to thinking of Japan as the country of the future, but looking at empty schools and abandoned temples, you realize this future has already arrived, and it looks nothing like Annam. It's the quiet sunset of a great empire to the hum of air conditioners in vacant apartments. Do you still think this is just a demographic decline? No. This is the finale of a story unfolding before our eyes while we admire the neon lights of Tokyo. The sun is setting, and this time, it seems forever.